Hey, what is up, lovelies? It is Lynn the Gacha Goblin, and okay, alright. So it looks like CyberMaz released her video on Sylus. Now, we have to react to this. Of course. So we are going to be watching this, and I'm going to disappear off the screen again, and let's get into the video. Okay.
There's something timeless about the soulmate trope. The idea that two people are destined to find each other across lifetimes, galaxies, or impossible odds is undeniably powerful. It's a familiar narrative in romance, and for a good reason. It taps into a deep longing, the comfort of knowing there's someone out there who just gets you, whose soul is already linked to yours. But while this kind of love story can be beautiful, it also opens up questions, especially around choice, agency, and what love really looks like when fate is involved. This is where
okay, this is interesting. I have a very mixed feeling about fated love, because of course, you know, there is that question of, is it your choice then? Like, do you have free will in loving who you want to love, or are you just fated to be with whoever the world gave you or whatever? And you know, I see this sometimes written in stories, and I've never actually been a fan of people questioning whether or not that is I guess right or whatever. I think it's just the storybook lover in me that wants fated romances, fated lovers to be together. So I've never questioned whether or not it was, I guess, moral, or if it was okay, or if it's taking away the autonomy of each individual. I've never actually asked that kind of question. So this is gonna be an interesting video for me, I think, 100%.
Sylus comes in for me. In Love and Deepspace, Sylus is soul-bound to MC. In his myth Beyond Cloudfall, their souls become merged. By the end of the myth, MC curses his soul to never disappear, binding him to her beyond death, beyond time. Now, the events of Beyond Cloudfall take place on a planet called Sylus. Now, whether you want to believe that this is the same Sylus that Xavier comes from, or whether it's an alternative Sylus, the fact remains the same. What really matters is the bond between Sylus and MC. In the myth, they give each other half of their soul, making them soulmates in the truest, most literal sense. It's a connection that goes beyond time, space, and even memory. One that ties them together, no matter the world or version of themselves. Whether this is the future or something else entirely, their bond is fated, something that was always going to happen. Their connection is intense, emotional, and stretches beyond memory and time. On paper, he fits the mold of the fated lover. But what sets Sylus apart, what makes his story so emotionally complex, is that he never treats this bond as a guarantee. After their first emotionally fraught meeting in the present, which I'll touch on later, he steps back. He doesn't demand her affection, even when he remembers everything and she remembers nothing.
Oh my god, stop. I did not want to cry. That is so sweet. How did I never notice that? That is so true. Oh, man. Sylus's myth was such an emotional roller coaster for me too. That is insane. But Maz is so right. Like, Sylus knew everything. He knew everything that happened between him and MC, and he just stepped back. He was like, no, it's okay. You do what you want to do. If we're meant to be, we're meant to be. Oh my god. Oh my god.
Instead, he offers space. He waits, he asks, and he hopes, but he never takes.
Isn't that like what real love is supposed to be like? Like, if your lover wants to go, then if you love them, you let them go, kind of thing. And if they love you, they'll come back. Oh my god. That is so freaking sweet. Oh my god. Sylus is supposed to be this like badass leader of a mafia, but he's just the sweetest. Oh, man.
In a story shaped by destiny and deep-rooted connections, Sylus's approach is a refreshing reminder that love still needs to be chosen. So, I'm going to explore how Sylus redefines what it means to be bound to someone, not by rejecting the idea of soulmates entirely, but by reshaping what that bond can look like when consent and autonomy are prioritized.
Damn it.
The story invites a more nuanced interpretation of fate-driven romance, one that doesn't strip characters of their agency, but rather allows love to be something that is built, not just inherited. I'll begin by looking at what consent really means in the context of Sylus and MC's relationship, not just in a physical sense, but emotionally and psychologically. Then I'm going to examine the idea of autonomy, drawing from psychological research that shows how crucial agency is in healing, self-identity, and building healthy relationships. Finally, I'm going to look at the soulmate trope itself, not to critique it, but to explore how Sylus's narrative exists within it, while gently subverting its more rigid or traditional aspects. Psychological studies, like those rooted in self-determination theory, show us that people thrive in relationships where their autonomy is respected. Sylus's actions mirror this kind of emotional intelligence. He doesn't push, he doesn't assume, and even when he's hurting, he doesn't use their bond as leverage. His love may be written in the stars, but he never stops asking MC for what she wants.
Oh.
At its core, Sylus's story isn't about rewriting the soulmate trope. It's about adding layers to it. He reminds us that even when souls are bound, hearts still have to choose.
My freaking god, that is so true. Oh my god. How come that's never crossed my mind? This is so eye-opening for me. I am bewildered, shocked, and amazed that this is what Sylus's character is. Oh my god, thank you so much, Bess. I have such a deep respect for this character now. Holy crap. Because you're right. I mean, even if you are bound by fate or by destiny or by whatever, just because you are bound to one another, but your hearts don't beat for one another, it doesn't feel right. Like, it will never feel right. Oh, wow. Wow, I've never thought about it that way. Huh. Wow.
And when they do, that choice carries more meaning than fate ever could. When we talk about consent, it's easy to focus only on physical intimacy, but in reality, and especially in stories like Love and Deepspace, consent goes far beyond that. It's emotional, it's psychological, and it's about allowing someone the space to feel what they feel without pressure, expectations, or conditions. And that's something Sylus, despite all of his intensity and longing, seems to understand deeply. Now, I want to take us back to Sylus's myth beyond Cloudfall. In this life, Sylus is a dragon, a creature of immense power, feared and hunted, capable of consuming human souls. But there's a catch. He can only feed on a soul if it is offered willingly. The soul must choose to surrender. Sylus, even in his most primal, magical form, is bound by the principle of consent. No matter how powerful he is, no matter how deep the bond, no matter how hungry the longing, he cannot take what isn't freely given. MC holds that choice entirely in her hands. What's remarkable about this is that it isn't actually framed as a weakness. It's framed as a rule of his existence. Consent, even at the mythological level, is non-negotiable. That choice, the willingness of the soul, is what gives the bond between them so much meaning. It's a powerful metaphor for the central emotional dynamic of the present-day narrative. Love, trust, and connection cannot be demanded, even when a bond feels written in fate. Whether it's a soul bond, a curse, or even a cosmic tie spanning lifetimes, the underlying truth remains the same. Nothing real can be taken, it must be offered. In this way, Sylus is not just a subversion of the possessive lover or dominant soulmate archetype. He becomes a symbol of what power looks like when shaped by restraint. The dragon, which is often a symbol of untamable force, becomes a creature bound by ethics, by consent, by the will of another. And rather than rejecting that limitation, Sylus accepts it. He builds his identity around it. He waits, not because he is weak, but because he understands that love without choice isn't love at all.
Oh my god. This is so good, guys. What the actual flip.
From the moment he and MC are reunited, Sylus is placed in a complicated position. He remembers everything. She remembers nothing. He's soulbound to her, a connection forged in a past life, one that shaped who he is. She, meanwhile, doesn't even know who he is, let alone what they meant to each other. This drives Sylus to desperation. He orchestrates events to make her remember. He forces her to resonate with him, even has her shoot him through the heart. Each act is like this plea for recognition, a cry to awaken something lost. But this isn't the same MC he once knew. This version of her has been fractured by trauma, and to her, Sylus is a stranger with terrifying intensity. Eventually, Sylus comes to learn the painful truth. The reason she cannot resonate with him is rooted in that trauma.
You see, her evol is special. It utilizes the waves generated by the human brain's magnetic field. Maybe her brain's magnetic field produces repulsive waves against you. That's why she can't resonate with you.
Get to the point.
To make a long story short, on a subconscious level, she's either rejecting you, scared of you, or, disgusted by you.
This is what prompts Sylus to begin taking huge steps back. Her love must be willingly given to him, regardless of their soul connection. As their relationship slowly begins to heal and evolve,
That is so true. Oh my god. Seriously, it's like, okay, so Sylus back then, like Maz, she shapes it perfectly. She's like, Sylus back then until now, he remembers everything. So his past shaped the person that he is today in like present timeline. But MC is completely different. MC is not the MC that he had known back in the past. And it's like he had hoped that she would be the same MC when they first met, but then he realized that no, this MC is completely different. She knows nothing of their past. She wasn't shaped by their past like he was. So he had to approach it a completely different way. Oh my god, and then they still end up together. My heart.
one moment that beautifully captures Sylus's understanding of consent happens in Night of Secrecy. By this point, there's been a shift. MC has started to lower her guard, and Sylus too has softened, no longer led by past assumptions, but by the present connection they share. In this scene, he leans in and he asks her,
"Do you want it, kitten?"
Now, on the surface, it's a flirtatious line, teasing, intimate, charged with tension. But underneath the playful tone is something quieter, more vulnerable. He's not just asking for consent in that moment, he's asking for something deeper. Do you want this? Do you want me? Not because of their shared past, not because of some ancient bond, but because she wants it, because it's her choice. And that distinction is everything.
Do you think men will understand this? Like, do you? I don't think so, right? Men would not understand this now unless they have a degree in psychology or something, right? That is absolutely crazy. There is so much deeper meaning to Night of Secrecy now, and people who are just looking in will see it as gooner bait. Oh my god! But it's so much sweeter than that. Oh jeez. Sorry, I'm getting emotional.
Consent, especially in a relationship with this much history and emotional imbalance, isn't just about hearing a yes. It's about knowing that that yes is freely given, not shaped by guilt, pressure, or a sense of obligation. As the American Psychological Association puts it, true consent is voluntary, informed, and given by someone with the capacity to decide freely. Now, there's a beautiful moment in Magnum Opus while MC and Sylus are out on a date, and it illustrates the point that Sylus is not assuming MC's given consent, despite the fact that at this point they've already slept together. Take a look at this interaction.
If you feel that guilty, then let me rest at your place later. Ah, yes. Your sofa and hard floor are incredibly comfortable to sleep on. I'd definitely give up my custom-made luxury mattress for them. Of course I am.
Now, on the surface, it comes across as quite playful, but it actually reveals something much deeper. He's making space for her autonomy and her consent. Sylus doesn't assume he's entitled to her bed just because they previously slept together. Of course, he doesn't get everything right from the start. Sylus does make mistakes. He assumes familiarity too quickly and tries to recreate moments from their past in the hopes that it will spark recognition, and doesn't always realise how different this version of MC is from the one he remembers. But when he sees that his presence overwhelms her, he steps back. That kind of self-awareness, especially in a character framed as intense and morally grey, is rare and important. It tells us that Sylus isn't driven by what he wants, he's guided by what she needs.
So
Ultimately,
good.
Sylus's approach to consent isn't just about being respectful. It's about restoring balance in a relationship where the scales are tilted from the start. By choosing not to push, not to demand, and not to assume, he makes room for something much more meaningful: trust. And in a story where so much is built on memory, fate, and power, that trust becomes the real foundation for whatever comes next. Autonomy
Oh my
is at the heart of
God.
every meaningful relationship. Not just the freedom to act, but the freedom to feel, to change, to decide who we are and who we let in. Psychological research tells us that autonomy isn't just about independence, it's essential to mental and emotional well-being. Now, according to self-determination theory, autonomy is one of 3 core human needs, along with competence and relatedness. When autonomy is undermined through manipulation, pressure, or loss of agency, it leads to distress, disconnection, and a weakened sense of self. In contrast, when our autonomy is respected, we're more likely to feel secure, motivated, and open to intimacy. Sylus's behaviour mirrors this principle almost perfectly. He doesn't try to force a relationship, he doesn't position himself as her answer or her fate. Instead, he gives MC space to rediscover herself. He lets her ask questions, make mistakes, and even push him away. He knows what it's like to have his autonomy stripped away, both as a dragon hunted for what he is, and as a man branded a villain for surviving. When it comes to MC, he refuses to be another person who tries to shape her into what he needs. This approach is especially significant when we view it through the lens of trauma. In trauma-informed psychological care, one of the core components of healing is the restoration of agency. As outlined by the Substance Abuse and Mental Health Services Administration, survivors of trauma need environments where they are allowed to make choices, because trauma often comes from having choice taken away. Sylus perhaps instinctively creates that environment. Not perfectly, he stumbles, especially early on, but once he recognises MC's emotional state, he steps back. He lets her walk out. He doesn't try to win her over through guilt or pressure. Instead, he waits, quietly rebuilding trust, not through promises, but through presence.
Oh
And
my
over time,
God. Wait, this is so true. Isn't there that there's one 4-star memory, okay, 4-star memory experience that MC is basically saying, like, I never want to see you again, you're always a bother, yada yada yada. And then Sylus was so willing, he was so willing to walk away and never see MC again. He was so willing to let everything go, and to let her go. Oh my God. And then she just chooses him again. Then that's why they're together. It's just, okay, I'm sorry, but this is so... I freaking love Sylus.
That makes all the difference. One of the most poignant moments of Sylus honouring MC's autonomy comes from the phone call As You Wish. In it, MC confides in him, voicing that she's overwhelmed and that life has become too much to bear. Sylus doesn't push. He doesn't demand explanations or even try to fix her. Instead, he offers a quiet, unwavering presence. Whatever she needs to heal, he will give her. Listen to this exchange.
Rest if you're tired, cry if you're sad. Don't do it if you don't want to. I'll be there, every step of the way. I'll kick them away. Don't you have the password to the armory and complete control over Anakainis? We can help you conquer Earth and outer space, whichever you prefer. And as your accomplice, I'll run away with you. I'm a dangerous person, yet you still hold my hand, kitten. Of course I am, but between you opening up and me prying, I prefer the former.
Sylus responds without any hesitation.
Oh my God. Oh my God. You know, that exact audio I had listened to when I was going through a tough time, and I was just like, wow, why is this game providing me with, like, emotional stability? This is insane. Okay, now I understand why people become parasocial with this game, but, like, it is crazy how well this character is written, Oh my god. Wow, I have a whole new respect for Sylus as a character.
In this phone call, Sylus really does honour her trauma and her pain. This is Sylus saying, I love you without question, without fear. Wherever your pain takes you, I'll go. Even if it's to the darkest depths of your soul.
Do you ever think that we're ever gonna find a man who will say these things to us? Who will be like this to us? Oh my god. This game, raising standards to oblivion, I swear to god.
The soulmate trope is one of the most enduring in romance. It speaks to a universal longing, that somewhere out there is someone who's made for us, a person whose presence feels like coming home. Now, that idea is often literalized, two souls tied across lifetimes, pulled together by fate, magic, or cosmic design. It really is a beautiful concept, and when it's done well, it can lead to some of the most emotionally powerful moments in storytelling. But just like any other trope, it does come with potential complications, especially when the idea of destiny starts to blur the line between love and obligation. What makes Sylus so compelling to me is that he exists within the soulmate framework, but he doesn't behave the way these kinds of characters usually do. He's not trying to claim MC because of their past. He doesn't act like her soul bond to him entitles him to her present. To understand just how unique this is, it's worth briefly looking at the traditional shape of the soulmate trope. In its most common form, especially in genre fiction, soulmates are presented as fated or meant to be. Often that means love is fast-tracked. Characters fall hard and fast, with destiny serving as an emotional shorthand. The tension comes from external forces trying to keep them apart, not from the characters themselves needing time or space. And while that's not inherently bad, a lot of people love this dynamic, and rightfully so, it doesn't leave much room for characters to choose each other freely, especially if one has more information or memory than the other. Sylus turns that structure on its head. He remembers everything. MC remembers nothing. He has every narrative excuse to push the bond, to use their shared history as justification for their closeness, but he doesn't. He doesn't ask her to remember their past. He doesn't expect her to feel what he feels. And even when he desperately wants to bridge the gap between them, he doesn't try to fill that distance with pressure or manipulation.
It's so true. Like, even in that 4-star, that free 4-star that we got, oh my god, what was it called? Something Symphony? There's that moment where MC kind of has like this dream, right? Like, she can remember something from the past in the church or whatever. Whenever when she hears the organ playing, when he's playing the organ, I think. And there's like this moment where she feels this like connection with Sylus, but she doesn't understand why, and Sylus doesn't use that to his advantage. He just kind of like brushes it off and completely doesn't say anything about it. He doesn't use anything in his court to try and manipulate her feelings because he respects the new MC that has come to him. Oh my god.
Instead, he allows her the space to feel confused, to feel conflicted, to feel nothing at all if that's where she's at. In doing so, Sylus gently subverts the core idea that soulmates must always come together. For him, love isn't about inevitability, it's about reciprocity. The bond they share isn't a chain, it's a thread, and he holds it loosely, hoping she'll choose to pick it up. This shift is important because it reframes the soulmate connection not as an emotional shortcut, but as a starting point. A history that adds depth, but not one that replaces the need to build something real in the present. And for Sylus, for all his longing and loneliness, never stops honouring that process. He doesn't rewrite the soulmate trope entirely. Instead, he expands on it. He shows us that fate might tie two souls together, but love still needs to be earned, nurtured, and chosen. And when
beautiful.
It is, it's worth far more than anything written in the stars. Sylus isn't just a love interest, he's a narrative shift. In a story built on soul bonds, lost memories, and the weight of fate, he could have easily followed a familiar path, one where destiny justifies dominance, where love is owed rather than chosen. But instead, Sylus does something much rarer and far more meaningful. He waits, he listens, he steps back, and in doing so, he redefines what it means to love someone in a world where choice is so often stripped away. His presence in Love and Deepspace gently challenges the traditional soulmate trope, not by rejecting it outright, but by adding nuance and care to how it plays out. The bond between him and MC is still intense, still cosmic, still brimming with history, but Sylus never treats that bond as a claim. He never uses it to bypass consent or override MC's autonomy. Even when she forgets him, even when she fears him, he doesn't try to force her into remembering who they were. Instead, he gives her the space to figure out who she is now, and whether he belongs in that story. That space, that choice, is everything. Psychological research tells us that healthy relationships are built not just on connection, but on respect for individual agency. Autonomy is central to emotional well-being, especially in the aftermath of trauma. And Sylus's behaviour, his restraint, his patience, his refusal to manipulate, mirrors what real-world therapists and psychologists define as emotionally secure, respectful love. It's love that empowers, not consume.
Oh my god.
In a genre full of epic love stories shaped by destiny, Sylus shows us a different kind of epic. One built not on inevitability, but on mutual recognition. One that asks, what if you're meant to be? But only if you both want it. And that question, more than any grand gesture or soul-deep connection, is what makes his story resonate so deeply. Sylus reminds us that love, even when written in the stars, still needs to be chosen here on Earth. And when that choice is made freely, despite fear, despite history, despite fate, it means more than any prophecy ever could.
Holy crap. Guys, I'm actually tearing up right now. This is so beautiful. Wow. Wow, wow, wow. This is a fantastic video, Maz. Oh my god. Thank you so much for sharing. Wow. Like, Sylus, I have never read a love story that has such deep devotion and understanding and patience as he does. And I feel like I am missing something so deeply in my life right now. And that is to read a story with a main character like this, like in actual book form. You know what I mean? Like, I need a book with a character like Sylus in it. Oh my god. Wow. I gotta hand it to the devs. I mean, the people who write the story for Love in Deepspace, the characters themselves, like, we already went through Zane's, and now we're going through Sylus's. They're so deep, you know, they're so deep. They have so much more to them that's unsaid, but once you understand them, once you go through their characters, it just makes you love the game so much more. Damn it. It is so good. Wow. I knew Sylus's story was going to be deep, but I didn't understand just how deep it was gonna be, you know what I mean? Like, that is insane. Like, we're gonna give this a like. Okay. That is insane. Wow. I absolutely love that one. That is fantastic. Thank you so much, Maz. I keep saying it, but like, I have such a deeper appreciation for Sylus. I have such a deeper appreciation for the writers of this story, of this game, of these characters, because that is so emotionally mature, so deep, so beautiful. And we don't see that kind of love now, and it's just so nice to see it somewhere, you know, like that it exists somewhere in this world. Wow. Okay, well, that is pretty much it from me, or else I'm just gonna keep gushing about this. It is so freaking good. Oh my god. Okay, anyway, leave your thoughts down below on this video. Tell Maz how much you love this video too. Go on her video, give her all the likes and supports. I think she is going to be covering all of the love interests. I saw somebody say that she posted a schedule of when she's going to be posting everybody's, so I'm so looking forward to diving deep into all of them. Are you kidding me? Okay, this is so good. Thank you all so much for watching. If you want to subscribe to the channel, I cover love in Deepspace, and yeah, I'm Lynn the Gacha Goblin, and I'll see you lovelies in the next video. Bye bye now.